So if it comes down to having to choose one lens to shoot a wedding with, which probably would never happen, but if it did, y'all know I'm a long lens kind of gal. I like to use the 70 to 200. It's probably my favorite lens. I use it at 200 consistently to get that beautiful bokeh in the background. But when it comes down to one lens that I could use at one wedding, at one wedding, I would have to say we're gonna have to look at the usability of the lens, not the artistry, not being the fly on the wall and being able to hang back. So not comfortability. It's all gonna come down to usability and what I can capture the best. And so I'm gonna go through some images and show you the lens that I used for all these images. And in the end, you get to guess what, no, I'm just kidding. Okay, it's the Nifty 50, that's the lens. I would choose that one, and I'm gonna show you images as to why I would choose that one, even though the 70 to 200 is my favorite. So with this first set of images, we're looking at the beautiful Callie getting ready for her wedding. You know, the wedding day is not just the ceremony. The ceremony is like, what, 11 minutes of the wedding day? And then you got the other 8 to 10 hours that you're photographing. But yes, this first set of photos is the beautiful Callie getting ready, and I'm using the 50mm 1.8S. Although the room was not terribly small, I would have had to bring my step stool in there if I was going to use the 85 to get the down shots that I did of her. And I customarily do have to use my step stool a lot. Using the 50mm gives me that ability to not have to bring my step stool in and to get those beautiful shots of the bride getting ready and the groom. So we'll look at a couple of these shots. You'll see how I'm getting the close-ups of her putting her earrings on, her shoes, and then the further back ones of her hugging her dad. And actually I was able to get that whole hallway full body in shot with this 50mm as well. And then we go on to her groom, the handsome Ian, and he's reading a letter that she's given him, and I'm using the same lens. He's at a window, so it's a different light obviously because he's more rugged, and I want to showcase that and have him on this chair. So here he is reading the letter, same lens, just a completely different look. One of the things that I pride myself on are my details shots. And getting good detail shots is one of the reasons why I think people book me. They love those beautiful spreads. And in these two different weddings, you'll see where I've used the 50mm to get what they call flat lays, which I just found out that term last year, guys, from another wedding photographer's wedding that I shot. I had no idea that's what they were called. Anyway, so here's the 50mm at, it is the 1.8S as well, getting those shots. We move on in the wedding day. We also have to get formals. The 50mm is perfect for formals. At this wedding, I got formals of the bride and the groom and their families and groomsmen, bridesmaids. With the 50mm, I generally like to use the 85mm for any type of formals, but I don't know why I used the 50 on this one, probably because I had just gotten it. I don't know. Every time I get a new lens, I'm like, oh, I have to use it. The next part of the wedding day, of course, would be the ceremony, which I unfortunately could not find any shots using the 50mm, any current ones. I have some older ones, but I could not find them. But here are some detail shots of a ceremony area with the 50mm and also details of the actual venue too. The only thing that would bother me about using the 50 at a ceremony would be having to get so close to the people to get that artistry that I normally like to get that I can do with the 70 to 200 from way far back. So that would really bother me to have such a presence at the ceremony, but I could do it. So the last part of the wedding day would be the exit and the reception, which I use the 50mm a lot for dancing shots at the reception. I like to get on the dance floor in people's faces with them, even though I generally employ a fly on the wall approach. I am very short. So for me, with the 50 in big crowds, it's so much easier for me to just get in the crowd with them. And then of course the exit, the 50mm is predominantly my go-to for the sparkler exit or any sort of exit. So one of the wonderful things about the Nifty 50 is it is the closest to what the eye sees. And it also is very, very light. It's cheaper than a lot of other lenses. I mean, you could get a used Nifty 50 for probably $150, $200. And it can provide some beautiful bokeh depending on which lens that you get. It is so extremely versatile, and I'm so happy to have one in my kit. In fact, the Nifty 50 was the first professional lens I had. As far, when I say professional, the first 1.8 lens I had, and my dad is the one that sent his old one to me, and I absolutely fell in love with that lens from the first time that I used it. I have had one, two, three, now I'm on my 4th Nifty 50, and so currently I'm using the 1.8S in the Z series, and I wish that I had the 1.4, or they don't have 1.4 yet. I wish that I could get the 1.2, but it's really heavy, so I don't know if it's, and it's really bulky, so I don't know how well it would work for my purposes, but I would like to get my hands on one and try it out. So, you know, the biggest con of the 50 is that it's not a very long focal length, which you customarily would need at a wedding, but that would pretty much be the biggest con. The other would be, while it does have really beautiful bokeh, you have to be kind of close to your subject, and the background has to be kind of far away to get exactly what I would want to achieve. So guys, if you had to choose one lens for the wedding day, what would you choose? You know, taking into consideration the dressing shots where the room might be too small for the 70 to 200. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I will see you in the next video. If you like this video, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time.